So as we kind of begin the 10-minute lightning talk here, I'd like to kind of have you try to remember the last time that you called your government, and not as an employee calling your colleague in another department, but as a citizen. Was it a good experience? Did you get directly routed to the person that you wanted to talk to right away? Or did you get one of these kinds of issues where you're calling up about a very specific question and you've got one person that says, sure, let me transfer you, or maybe they're not so cheery because you called them right at 8 o'clock when they first came in and they haven't had their first 3 cups of coffee. And then you get transferred to somebody else who says, nah, I don't handle that. I don't do paving. I only fix potholes. Let me transfer you to somebody else. And so you begin this daisy chain of trying to find the right person. And really, that's kind of, as government leaders, that's our fault. We are the people that are hiring really intelligent folks to do pothole fixes and paving and planning and zoning and stuff. And then we're taking these very highly skilled individuals that are also, in a lot of cases, pretty expensive to employ, and we're expecting them to be communicators also. So to get around this problem, we think, all right, well, we'll just have everybody do all their work in these large enterprise systems that are going to collect every piece of information. And when they do that, then everybody on the staff will just magically know exactly what they know. Well, that doesn't really work, right? So, you still have to have that citizen understand or have some kind of context for, this is the department that really handles whatever it is that I'm curious about. The problems just begin to magnify at that point. So as a chief data officer, my job is not to do what you guys are doing, most of you, being CIOs. My job is to try to dig into these silos of data, and we call it democratizing just because it's a cool catchphrase. But really what we're trying to do is surface this data, using ArcGIS in interactive maps, in dashboards, in our open data portal, and all these ways of trying to get data out to people to meet them where they are. So if you're a developer or if you're just curious about digging through tons and tons of data, we have our open data portal for you to go in there and look at our APIs. We try to surface data through apps like Waze so that even if you're not looking at any municipal application, you're still benefiting from the work that we do with data curation. And just recently, and the reason for this whole talk, is that we launched the world's first open data-powered Alexa skill. And so when we're talking about Alexa, there's a variety of different things that you can ask it just out of the box, right? So you can ask it to send text messages or to remind you to do things, or to turn on your lights or turn off your lights. And the creepy factor gets exponentially greater the more devices you start connecting in your house. My fiance loves being able to turn on the lights and stuff in different parts of the house while I'm there and she's still at work. So just to freak me out, which is really nice. So with our skill that we built from the city of Johns Creek, you can ask it over 200 different questions. You can ask things like, where is City Hall, which is just a kind of a standard canned, gives you the address and the phone number, and that's it. All the way through to what's the specific zoning of a property located at this address, or how many police calls have happened within 2 weeks of my address, and so on and so forth. And so I'm kind of a chicken, so I'm not going to live demo this for you. We actually have some videos that if we could play those now, that would be great.
Alexa, ask the city of Johns Creek, when is the next city council meeting?
The next meeting on the calendar is City Council meeting, Monday, April 23, 2018, 7 p.m. at Municipal Court, Police Department.
Alexa, ask the city of Johns Creek, what is the current zoning of 10700 Abbott's Bridge Road?
The current zoning of 10700 Abbott's Bridge Road is OI, Office, Institutional, which was approved on October 3, 2001.
Alexa, ask the city of Johns Creek about fire activity near 10700 Abbott's Bridge Road.
Over the past 6 months, there have been 691 fire calls for service within 2 miles of 10700 Abbott's Bridge Road.
All right, so that's just kind of a sample of the types of things that our skill can answer. And again, it's in an attempt not to replace a lot of our really cool and interactive applications. It's an attempt to try to lower the barrier of entry for people and just give them an answer. And to give them an answer that's just enough, kind of an appetizer to engage them to maybe start to use some of these applications and to make it not so scary. So in terms of how the skill works, there's basically two components. There's Esri, and then there's the AWS services that we're leveraging. So at the beginning, as I mentioned, we have our open data portal built on the hub. If you're not familiar with the hub and you missed the presentation yesterday, look into it. It's awesome. There are APIs that can be utilized to access your data, and that's what we're really leveraging. And then there was another project that Esri released through an R&D center that they have up in Washington, D.C. called Sonar. It's on GitHub, Google it. Basically, that's the brain center for doing what we would normally do by going into an app and panning and clicking and things like that. And so what we've done is we've taken that code base, enhanced it quite a bit, and then put its feelers into our open data portals so that it's accessing our REST services to pull all that data dynamically. So that code is then containerized and put in something, an AWS framework called a Lambda Function. Best way to think of this is like a server that's not a server. It only runs when somebody asks a question. So you only pay for it when people ask questions. You don't pay for it when nobody asks questions. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then all of that is put behind Alexa, which is the natural language processing kind of ability. So Alexa is what takes what you say, translates it into what a machine can understand, passes that information to the code goes to the data, queries, and then back through the stream. And so it's also very important to note that the Alexa skill, while it's the cool whiz-bang kind of cherry on top of this whole thing, it's one piece of a trifecta that we've been working on for quite a while at Johns Creek. So the Alexa skill is a direct product of the Data Hub. The Data Hub is a direct product of this initiative that we started about 2.5 years ago called Project Octopus, which I tried to call Hydra, if there's any Marvel fans out there. It's awesome to be able to present at a tech conference because there's plenty of geeks that'll get my jokes. So yeah, they didn't let me call it Hydra, so we had to think of Octopus. But it's basically the idea that we're taking all these tentacles and trying to put them into every single database, every little place where there could be valuable information, and expose that data in a central repository, which is the Data Hub. And so the next step, a lot of people ask, this is great, you built this skill, it does all this stuff, what's the next phase? How do you roll it out to more people? Well, we recently became aware of this new construct, this new microservice within AWS called Aws Connect. It's essentially an automated call center. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking of all those times when you just are screaming, human, human, just give me a human, right? And we're building that in so that you can just escape the loop. But essentially what we're doing is we're connecting all the brains and all the intelligence we built for the skill to this call center so that when you pick up the phone and you call the city, instead of immediately talking to a human that then passes you to another human that might pass you to another person, and then you have to leave a voicemail, what we're doing is we're putting Alexa up front so that when you call in, she can just say, how can I help you? And if it's one of those 200 questions that we already know how to answer, you get an answer. She asks you if you got the correct response. If you did, great, you're done. There's no need to bother anybody else with trying to dig in for information. And that way, every citizen gets the exact same high-quality experience that they expect from the city. So I have 10 seconds left. Thank you for listening. That's it.